Today on Keep Alive, one of the most horrifying nightmares that a new mother can have. Welcome, everybody. It's William Lee, your podcaster, podcast producer, and the founder of the Kiva Agency for Social Media. How many times when you're a new mother, you think about, well, I've got a working career and I've got to find a nanny? Well, just recently I read a story about a nanny that was more than just a nanny. It seems that this nanny was such a perfect fit for the family, they could hardly believe the nightmare that was about to happen. It seems that this mother had gone through the screening process, which is very important to do when picking out a nanny, because you want to get somebody that really cares about your child and will use safety and will go the extra mile to keep your child healthy and happy. Well, this lady had discovered that she'd found just the person, and they had interviewed her, and she felt very comfortable. And throughout the months that the nanny was working, taking care of the child, everything seemed to be going great. In fact, the mother and the nanny got to be so close friends, it was hard to believe that anything could happen that would upset this whole idea of trust and loyalty. Well, that was about to change. It seems that the mother had noticed that the nanny had started acting a little bit peculiar. So the nanny came back and said, well, I'll tell you, I'm pregnant. I'm so excited to be expecting a child. Now, of course, the mother immediately assumes that this is a wonderful moment. And for the next few months, they share information. They talk about what it's like to be a mom and all the processes that go through childbirth, etc. I mean, they were talking about it. They were communicating different stories. And as time went on, the nanny, which would be on the phone occasionally with her doctor, made the mother feel very confident that this was actually happening. Now, the clincher was, as time went by, and naturally you have the pregnancy, the mom gets a little bit larger, of course. But something started going wrong. The stories weren't quite clear as the mother expected. And she thought, there's something, no morning sickness. I can't believe it, all the unique things that this young gal by the name of Ashley was going through. Well, the reason that she was going through it was very apparently simple. Later on, when the mother noticed Ashley leaving the home, and as she was walking down the street, she reached up in her blouse, and it looked like she was pulling something out. Yes, she was pulling something out. She was pulling out a pillow. You see, Ashley was not pregnant. The mother, getting very excited and upset, decided to turn to social media to see what was going on. And she went through the internet looking for different articles and stories to see if she could put this two and two together, because she knew that Ashley was lying to her, but for the life of her, she couldn't figure out why or how or what was the reason for her to do this. She was very concerned, the mother, and really lost a lot of trust in what Ashley was doing and was afraid for her baby's life. But as a few more weeks went by, she found more and more postings and more lies, utilizing her son as the bait for the scheme. You see, Ashley came up with excuses that her daughter was seriously ill and needed money for an operation. Isn't that clever? So by using social media, she immediately set up a donation program, and people actually sent her money, thinking, oh, that poor woman and her poor little child. Now, as you all know, social media is the quickest way in the world to show off your children or to take pictures of a fun vacation. But what people don't really realize is that the schemers are those that actually work on figuring out how to put hoaxes together to collect money, utilize social media, especially Facebook, to set the trap. Now, on Facebook, it's so very, very easy because everybody likes to see the pictures of little kids, and your heart goes out to the families, especially those that are truly in need of help. This gal didn't need any help at all. In fact, she was using the child that she was taking care of while she's being paid for it to even scam more people on social media to send her more money. What a great game this started to be. Well, after the mother discovered that this was all a lie, that she wasn't pregnant and she was using her child to scam money on the internet, She immediately fired her and got a restraining order to keep her away from the family and her child on a permanent basis. Now that you would go through something like that, you would think that the nanny would, well, just drop out of the business. Of course not. She entitled herself to get involved with another lady. And the same pregnancy story started all over again. Only this time she used different ways of deceiving the next mother into putting together a baby shower for her. Isn't that wonderful? You'd think, great. A wonderful baby shower because we're such friends and we want to help. The baby shower was a hoax, of course. And what was very interesting about it was that when she collected all these wonderful gifts, she had an outlet already to fence them. She sold off most of it immediately. But remember now, she is a helpless lady who needs a little bit of love from the people on the internet, a little financial help because she's alone and trying to make ends meet. This woman didn't just stop at one or two of these. It came to the storyline that Dr. Phil picked up and decided to put her on the show. Well, Ashley naturally jumped at the opportunity to tell her story on national television, probably thinking in the back of her mind that she could con Dr. Phil. Well, it didn't work, of course. And Dr. Phil exposed her to the fact that she had done this same crime, not once, not twice, but up to as many as 8 times. The show, of course, was a big successful smash on ratings for Dr. Phil, but the truth of the matter was, this was just the top of the iceberg that was about to float out to the ocean of money and of wonderful, wonderful things that could happen through donations on the internet. Now, you're probably thinking that this is a horrible crime, and why wasn't somebody investigating it? Well, the truth of it is that the mothers had gone forth a police investigation, which did start. However, it took time for the prosecutor to come up with enough solid evidence to make sure that this young lady was put in jail where she belonged. But the greatest moment, I think, in the history of this whole hoax came when the fires in California were burning. Ashley now couldn't use the child routine, the surgery, the starvation that she was going through with her child. That whole scam had to be completely redone simply because there wasn't anybody that would trust her for all of her lies. This lie coming up was a wonderful, wonderful pitfall for her. You see, she in turn got on social media again and announced that her husband was a firefighter and that he was experiencing so many trauma issues and there were so many things that had to be done. Oh, it was just incredible. The supplies and the money that started pouring in when Ashley continued to use social media to cry the blues. In fact, it was horrifying the amount of money that she was spending on the goods and or donations she was taking in. And the lies continued on. Police investigation in 2018, December, discovered that there was enough with the prosecutor to arrest her, and she was arrested. When the police department arrived to serve the warrant for her arrest, they also checked out a garage and a storage shed that she had packed full of different pieces of information, which she had packed full of gifts, which had property that was donated to her, that she hadn't sold yet and was waiting for, I guess, the right move to and time to liquidate all these goods, putting the money in her pocket. Thankfully, the 3 mothers that were first affected by this hoax stayed fast in asking for prosecution. And as our lovely nanny, Ashley, stayed in jail, her attorneys decided to use the sympathy routine to see if they could soften the blow at sentencing. However, the 3 mothers stood together united and refused to accept the apologies, knowing that Ashley lied and they had no way of believing her story whatsoever. The gavel finally came down in 2019 when she was convicted of several felony counts of fraud. What a horrible way to end the story. She got 177 days in jail, plus the time that she'd already spent in jail getting ready for trial. Will this really correct the problem that Ashley has? Or will she find another way to scheme her way through society using social media when she's released? We'll never know until she is released. But the point of this whole story today and this podcast is social media is a wonderful tool, and it can be used for the benefit of families, business, and community. But you've got to remember to use common sense when you get involved using social media. I would suggest very strongly, if you're taking pictures of your children, make sure that you take pictures and are sent to those news feed that you can trust. Put privacy issues first, and the glory of having your child on social media second. The safety that you can use by using common sense can change a lot of lives and set a good example for others that are using social media. We need to keep these cons, or what I call a social media bug, out of our society. We need to work together to keep social media social, not criminal. I hope our conversation today will start another conversation somewhere that will actually give us some real good pointers on how we can take action to correct some of these serious problems. If you have ideas for our show, please do me a favor. Send them in to Keeba, Keeba agency @gmail.com. That's our business address for the email of our show. We're very excited to produce and put these shows together now starting in June 1st on a weekly basis. Our Facebook page is at Keeba Live on Facebook. Do us a favor and punch a like, will you? And add any type of comment about the show that you'd like. Remember, you always can be successful if you just simply keep us smiling.